Hey everyone, welcome back. It is Dominic from the Primetime Treasure eBay store and YouTube channel. Thanks a lot for coming back to check out another video. I apologize for taking a few days to put another one up, but it has been one heck of a crazy weekend, and I'm glad I finally got around to putting this one up. This one is, as you can see from the title here, How to Source in the Winter. Now, this is really mostly designed for people who live in very cold climates in the wintertime where you've got to deal with a lot of snow and when all the garage sales have dried up. And if that's your main source of getting items, or has been the garage sale, particularly if you are just starting out as a reseller, you're going to quickly find out that that source is going to dry up on you for many months over the winter time. And it's only once the spring starts to come around that people are going to start posting garage sales, and then you get back into it, for the spring and the summer, and they'll go on into the fall. But once it starts getting really cold out, they're going to dry up. So you need to have other sources available and a plan in place on what to do for the winter months. So here in Syracuse, New York, we're really talking about primarily November, December, January, February, and some of March. So, that's a 4.5 to 5 month stretch where, you could go without a major sourcing location, again, which would be garage sales. So you have to have different options. And we're going to go over some options of things that you can do. But one of the first things that I'm going to tell you that you need to do for winter months is you just have to recognize the reality of it, which is that there's not going to be as many sources in a cold winter climate than there are in the warmer months of the year. So that is exactly why it is so important to stock up in the spring, in the fall, in the summer. Don't get worried that you're purchasing too much. Unless of course you're completely running out of space or something like that. But in general, you want to stock up because that winter months is where you could really, really have more time to focus on listing. So I stock up a lot over the summer, over the fall, over the spring, and really try to make a lot of bulk purchases. So, when it does get to a downtime over the winter time, you have the availability to focus on that and start to, knock down some of those piles, knock down some of those collections that you bought. And, it's really helpful, especially when things start drying up. But there are some other options. Now, for people who like to go to thrift stores, of course, the thrift stores are going to be open all year. But, depending on where you live, where I live, for example, the thrift stores are really not that great. I really haven't found too many great things there. It's not anywhere close to a primary source for me. The items in there don't really rotate too often. I don't have a Goodwill outlet store anywhere near me. So that's not something I could use. So I'm pretty much relegated to a few Salvation Armies. The pawn shops around here are really not that great either. So those are really not main sources for me. There are places that you can go to, but and you should go to them if you have some good outlets or places where material is consistently turning over and you've had luck in the past. By all means, you should go there. But some people will be in a situation like me who live in somewhat smaller cities and won't have that as a main option. So another thing that you should really, really look into if you have not gone to them before would be estate sales. Estate sales is one of my favorite places to get items. Now, with estate sales, you need to start to learn the people in your area. And I might do a separate video just on estate sales one day, but just a few basics to keep in mind with estate sales. There's some people that run estate sales that they charge absolutely ridiculous prices for the items in the store. In other words, I'm sorry, for items in the house, or it could sometimes be an apartment, but typically it's a house. These are the types of places where they'll charge maybe like $40-50 for something that you could find in a discount store, and they didn't realize that there's a discount store sticker on the bottom of the item, and there they are putting their own sticker on it for $50. So there's places like that. Fortunately, around where I'm located, they are few and far between, some of those estate sale companies. Most of the ones that are around my location are very, very reasonable. And you could really make out what they're trying to do is basically just clear the items out of the house, and they've already made a deal and a contract with the person who owns the estate to sell off the content. So they've made a lot of their money off of that, and they're just trying to make not a killing, but just make some money off the sale from the proceeds of the items that move out of the house. So you got to get to learn who the names are of the people or of the companies that run the estate sales that are most reasonably priced. You'll typically figure out which ones those are by looking at the size of the line for the estate sale. The ones with the biggest lines tend to be the ones where people are giving out the biggest discounts who run the estate sale. But just get to know them. Always be kind and friendly with the people who run the estate sales, because they'll tend to give you even better deals. But just basically get to know them and go to the ones, focus on the ones that give good deals, good prices. And also, I've also found, get to know the different suburbs and cities, and smaller towns where you live, and learn which ones are the ones that tend to have the items that are the best that work for you. And there's several around where I live that if it's in a particular city, I generally know that that city is going to have some good merchandise. And there's other cities that are more kind of snooty, where they're not people who really collect things that sell on eBay, but they're just very, very high-end stuff that you really can't move well on a market like eBay. So you want to stay away from those in general. And those actually tend to be where you have some of these people who run these estate sales that charge absolutely crazy amounts of money for things. So, estate sales, though, they're not limited by weather. So they happen all times during the year. I've gone to a few already this year, and over the winter time, and have made out well. One of my earlier haul videos actually shows that. You can see some of the items that I found, so just look back at one of my videos, you'll see one of the winter hauls. This year there haven't been as many estate sales to go to for whatever reason. I'm not sure in the area where I live. Last year there were many more, so it could be something seasonal, and depends on the year, and depends on the year and the season. So some winters are going to be better than others. So, but estate sales are generally a good option. Another thing you want to do is look on Craigslist for people who are selling lots of items for you to purchase. Someone will be advertising that they're selling a large amount of clothing, or a large amount of DVDs or videotapes, or comic books, which is one of the things that I mostly sell, or toys, or whatever it is. Have some search terms and search for them every day. And you could actually there's a cool app that I like to use, Craigslist Plus. And what you can do with that, it's a free app, and you could put in some of the search terms that you like, some of the keywords, and anytime that something gets posted that's new that has that keyword in it, so let's say it's shirts, for example, anytime something comes up with shirts, you'll get a notification on your phone that, hey, something new just popped up for shirts. So you want to be on the first one on that on Craigslist, so you could try to respond to it. There's, of course, other sites like OfferUp that you could use, or Let Go. I think that also depends on the city where you live in terms of how successful you're going to be with that. I have not had any luck whatsoever with those two, OfferUp or Let Go, but I have done extremely well with Craigslist, and I think that is the case in most cities, that Craigslist is going to be your best bet. Of course, you want to be careful when you're doing your meetup. Try to meet in a location that is out in the public somewhere, and really, if you could at all avoid it, try to avoid going to some secluded area, of course, where you're not going to be safe. Let someone always know where you're going, no matter what. If you do wind up going to someone's house, make sure that someone knows exactly where you're going in case you wind up getting into some kind of difficult situation. But anyway, I want to talk to you about Craigslist because Craigslist is an interesting place. Been my by far my most successful one of my most successful places to get merchandise in addition to the estate sales. I do very good in the garage sales, but I'm talking right now about winter time. It would be a combination of estate sales and Craigslist. Now, Craigslist, again, you could search for stuff on Craigslist, and it's a little bit time consuming, but and you have to be on top of it every day pretty much, where you have to keep looking. So, look in the morning, look in the afternoon, look at night. I mean, I check it multiple times a day to see if anything has come up that's good, and if I get any notifications, I go and check those as well just to make sure I'm right on top of things. So you want to look at that and you want to keep that in mind. But the thing that is a little bit of a challenge sometimes with using Craigslist in this way is that, as you know, and I actually have a video on this, which is sometimes you have to put stuff on Craigslist to sell it. It might not move on eBay. It might be a really large item, like that large cigarette sign that I sold, the Winston cigarette sign. I couldn't sell it on eBay, and then within 2 days I sold it on Craigslist. There's a lot of people that are doing that they are using Craigslist as their place to sell, and they should do that. It's local reselling, so a lot of local resellers, and a lot of them are trying to make a profit, of course, on their items. So sometimes getting an item from Craigslist that you can profit from could be tricky, and so you're going to have to use negotiation strategies in many instances. But there will be people who are giving away reasonable deals, but you got to be on top of it to catch it, because your competition is looking for those too. And generally, first person to respond to those ads are going to be the people who are going to get the item. So you want to be right on top of that as best as you can. But let me talk to you, and this is what I'm going to end the video on, which is one of the things I have done that over time has really, really been so crucial and so important to my success, which is, I realized that because of what I just mentioned, that it could really be a challenge to actually find a good deal sometimes on Craigslist, because there's a lot of other resellers who are selling things there. That I realized that sometimes what you have to do is you have to just create your own ad that asks for or just says what you are looking for. Now, some people, like if you've gone to the YouTube channel for Craigslist Hunter, he just advocates a very basic, short, ad on Craigslist. For example, I am looking to buy shoes. Please call, and put the number down. And he says that works for him, and that's great. For me, I like more detail, and I like to put together, as you can see here, and if you follow me on Instagram at Primetime Treasure, so a little plug for that, follow me along there. You'll see that I like to put together a lot of graphics that are attention grabbing. And so what I did was I put the first ad I ever put together for Craigslist was an ad for comic books, and I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show you how I did this. Let me get to it right here. So you can see here's my ad, and it says, cash for your comics, toys, books, cards, antiques, collectibles. Now, comic books is what I mainly deal in, but I also sell these other items that you see there. So try to get those keywords right in the title. But if you have any of these keywords as well listed below in the description for your ad, that will also help come up in the search engine. So anytime someone types in toys, or if they type in Star Wars, which you could see down below here, that is going to, this ad is going to be one of those that come up. So make sure whatever it is that you like to sell, that you find a way to add those keywords into your wanted ad on Craigslist. So you could see here the other thing that I do, and you'll see this throughout the other two ads that I have up, is that I like to put up a real flashy graphic. I mean, something that's really going to get attention. Now, this is an ad that's reminiscent of the old Batman, 1960s Adam West and Burt Ward Batman TV series where they would have these flashy graphics that would pop onto the screen, all dramatic with big bold words that would show up. And so it's something that when someone is scrolling down and scrolling through, this is going to catch their attention. And it has worked wonders for me in terms of getting people in touch with me who want to sell their comic book collections. And as you can see here, because I've listed other items, I've done really well with this in terms of people who try to sell their toys to me. So if you saw my recent video on some of the top items that I sold in January of 2018, you'll see that I talked about some of the dolls that I sold through the Disney Villains theme park series. That was actually obtained from this ad, which, even though it says comic books, because it has toys listed in there, I was able to make a deal on something that was completely non-comic book related. But what it says here just basically says what I'm interested in. I'm interested in purchasing comic books, but I'm also interested in purchasing other collectibles and collections, including toys. So action figures, Funko Pop, tin toys, books, pop culture items, Star Wars items, Star Trek items, Mad magazines from the 1970s or earlier, cards including Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, sports cards, should be before 1980. So you see how I'm throwing in all these different keywords and key terms. So if anyone types in Star Wars or Star Trek, this is going to come up. One of the earliest collections that I purchased was a giant Star Trek collection and did extremely well in it. And there were some random toys that were thrown in there that also sold as part of the set. So I made sure to throw that in there. You also want to put in some things to help avoid people contacting you about things that you won't want. So generally, sports cards, and there's exceptions to this, but as a general rule, sports cards made from 1980 onwards are generally not worth much, but ones from the 1970s and earlier are generally worth much more. So I'm really not interested in purchasing cards from the 80s or above, so I put that in there to discourage people from emailing me about that time frame for cards, because I don't want to deal with that, and it's just a waste of time. So but you'll see here I put other things in here: Pokemon related merchandise, Dungeons and Dragons items, Dragonlance items, DVDs, especially complete series and Blu-ray, gas, oil, petroleum memorabilia, tobacco memorabilia, video games, sports memorabilia, antiques, vintage advertising, old trains and train sets, political memorabilia, vintage clothes, especially t-shirts from the 1980s, and any other interesting collection. Just today, someone emailed me about a set of old trains that they had for sale, and the person also had a comic collection that they were selling. So you'll get contacted all the time. Now, from doing this type of ad, sometimes people are going to contact you with things that are just, not good. They're damaged, their price is too high. But for, every one of those worked into the different types of people who are going to respond to you are people who are going to respond to you that's something exactly what you want, for either a reasonable price or one that you can negotiate for a reasonable price that is something that you can do. So I also put some other things in here. So it says basically, as long as it has value as a collectible, I'm interested, except for furniture pieces and stereo systems, and that's because I personally am not set up for selling very large items. Of course, I could do that if I wanted to start like a Craigslist sale business, but I really right now, for the most part, am content with keeping things on eBay, and that is what I'm doing presently. Now, I also said that I will come to an estate cleaning, estate sales, or multiple estate sales to help rid you of items in bulk. In general, buying things in bulk is going to be a much better situation for you than purchasing an individual item or just a couple of items. You get a better deal. It's just like getting a better price on things when you shop for something at Costco or Sam's Club compared to if you're just going to the regular grocery store. And that's why I put here, a large lot or lots are preferred, but I'm interested in both small and large collections. If you only have a few valuable items, I would be interested in those as well. So I'm trying to put language in there that people feel comfortable generally contacting me if they think they have something that has value to it. Now, I also tell people I will need to see some pictures of what you have before making a purchase. That's very important to me. Person could email me the pictures, they could text me the pictures, but I need to see pictures. I will not go out on a deal if I have not seen pictures first. This is a way that I feel protects me from someone who may be trying to scam me. So let's say someone makes something up. I have this large collection of comic books, and they tell me all these key issues and valuable issues that they have, and they were to make a deal with me for, let's say, for $500 and tell me to meet up at a certain location. Well, how do I know they really have the items unless they send me some proof, send me some evidence? And how do I know that they're not just trying to set me up to meet me at a certain place and then rob me of $500? I don't know that. This is a way that could help protect me from that, and I always ask for pictures. Of course, someone could make up pictures and send them to me, but I have other safeguards in place that I try to use to prevent myself from putting myself in a dangerous situation. But pictures, I also think it's just important so you could see what it is that you might be getting. So sometimes someone will send you pictures and everything's wrinkled or damaged or has stains on it, and you could just quickly respond, nah, not worth it. I'm not interested anymore. Thank you very much, but just can't do it. And there you go. You just save yourself the maybe an hour, half hour driving one way and back to see something that if someone would have sent you the pictures, you would have known that it was damaged and wouldn't have wasted your time going out to see it. I put in some information here, and I'm going to spare some of this for you, especially people who aren't interested in comic books. But I put some information in here in terms of the types of condition and the age of the comic books that I'm looking for, and certain key issues, or not key issues, but key titles that I'm looking for that I have particular interest in, so because I've done very well with them, so I want people to feel comfortable contacting me if they have those. Now, signed sports memorabilia, and I would tell you this applies for any kind of signed memorabilia. I don't care if it's sports, comic books, any kind of entertainment memorabilia. Ideally, I really want that to come with a certificate of authenticity or a letter of authenticity, because that's the only way I know that something is not fake. So really try to get those if you can when purchasing sports memorabilia collections. Or any kind of collections that have that have any kind of signature on it. Now, the other thing that I put down here is that people should contact me if they're interested, but not if they're trying to sell the items for current retail prices. This is an offer for people who have too many comics or collectibles and want to get rid of them, need quick cash, and or acquired a collection of comic books or collectibles and want to get rid of them without a hassle. I put that in there because I don't want people contacting me thinking that I'm trying to buy this information as a collector. They need to know I'm trying to get the items wholesale, and I'm trying to put myself in a situation where I have immediate leverage. In other words, I want the person contacting me who needs quick cash. I can help you in that situation. You have too much stuff, you need space. I can help you. You acquired a collection that you inherited from somebody. You don't know anything about it. You don't want it anymore. You just want to get rid of it. I can help you in that situation. But for the person who does not need to sell and is just throwing things out there to see if they can make a lot of money off of something, that is not the person I want to deal with. Now, people like that will still contact you, but it does reduce the number of people who will contact you if you put that in your ad. I also let people know that prices are going to vary, and it depends on the condition, age, and the amount of information that's there. Also let people know that I will travel depending on and the length of which will depend on the size and the value of the items. So I don't want people, for example, I'm in Syracuse. I don't want people from Binghamton or Rochester, New York, thinking that I won't come out to them, and I will. One of the best deals I ever made was in Rochester, which is about 80 minutes away from me, and it was just one of the best comic book deals I've ever made. So, make sure people know you're willing to travel if you need to. Now, the next ad that I'm going to show you is one that I did for an interesting reason. I was contacted once by a woman who saw this ad, and she said, "I have some comic books, and I thought you might be interested in them." She said, "My friend has asked me to come in and help sell the contents of her mother, who was 90 years old, who passed away." And she said that this woman had other items in the house besides comic books from the deceased mother's mother, who also was obviously passed away. So there was the potential for some really, really old and valuable items in the house. So she said, there's some toys there, and you could just come in, take a look. So I said, okay. So I went over, I checked it out, and I couldn't believe what I walked into. I literally walked into a house that was covered. I mean, floor to floor, shelves packed with almost every kind of collectible that you could imagine. I mean, there was Star Wars cards, there were baseball cards, and they were old. There were comic books, there were records, there were Mad magazines, there were toys, there was Charlie Brown Peanuts items, there were sports collectibles, there were old newspapers, calendars, coins. I mean, it was absolutely crazy. I couldn't believe it. And the prices were extremely reasonable. I wound up filling up the entire car, and then wound up coming back 2 consecutive times on other dates to after I made this contact with this woman, back to the same house to fill up the car again with more items. I mean, just all sorts of vintage items. It was just absolutely amazing. I still have a bunch of them to sell, but that's how much stuff that I found. But it was absolutely crazy. And I said to myself, after the first after the first time that the first time I went to the house, I said to myself, I really actually was lucky in that situation that this person had some comic books, because that's what she searched for on Craigslist to find someone who might want to buy some of the stuff. I said, but there's probably going to be some people who scroll past my ad who want to sell something besides comic books, even though I have some of these keywords in here. But they might scroll past it because it says comic books on there. I said, so I want people to know on a broader level, who are trying to sell off an estate or part of an estate, that I'm available to purchase those items. They might pass me up if they just see an ad for comic books. So I put together this ad that I'm going to show you right here, which says wanted partial estate contents. Now, I created this myself by just taking a wanted poster. I saved it, the image, I put it onto PowerPoint, and then I took this image of a full storage locker and just cut it and superimposed it onto the wanted ad. So it looks really cool on Craigslist when it pops up, and it shows very clearly and very basic way, but a powerful way, that I want your estate content items. Now, I put the word partial in there because I can't buy someone's entire house, but lets people know that if you have stuff that you want cleared out of your house, that I'm willing to come by, come check it out, and I might be interested in buying some significant portions of it. And so this ad's a little bit briefer, so let me just go over it with you. It says, I am interested in purchasing partial estate contents if you are trying to downsize for yourself or a loved one. Particular areas of interest include old books, especially science fiction and fantasy, comic books, collectibles of all varieties and sorts, toys, antiques, advertising items, signs, vintage household items, vintage clothes, including t-shirts from the 1980s, and any other interesting collection or collections. Again, no furniture or single large pieces are taken at this time. The majority of items cannot be significantly damaged or of poor quality. You wouldn't believe how many people try to contact you with that type of garbage that you don't want to buy. Payment can be made in cash or via PayPal transfer. If interested, please send an email with the description of available contents and a few pictures. You will always receive reliable and friendly service, mainly serving the Syracuse area and Onondaga County, but will travel elsewhere depending on the situation. So, this ad has also been critical for me obtaining other incredible deals in terms of large lots of items. I've told the story in some of my other videos of the person who runs or not runs, but he works for the local Got Junk, that question mark, that's the junk removal service. And he goes into people's houses, clears it out, and then if he finds anything in there that's of value, he takes it, he keeps it in his trailer, and then he basically contacted me off of this ad when he needed to make space, and I came over to the trailer and just started clearing items out of there, like old boxes of Magic the Gathering cards that were worth $300 a piece. It was crazy. Not going to repeat the story right now because I've told it in some of my other videos, but point is that this is a separate ad, separate from my comic book ad, that helped me get other great collections. The funny thing about this ad actually is that the woman who I told you about earlier from that house with the woman who died who was 90 years old, who contacted me based on this, she went out of town. She lived in Denver actually and was coming back to help out this woman who lived in Mattydale, which is a suburb of Syracuse. And she contacted me initially off this ad. And then she thought when she came back to town a couple of weeks later, well, I'm going to try to contact someone else because maybe this person, has already seen everything, and maybe I'll just try a fresh set of eyes. And so she actually contacted me again, not knowing it was me, off of this ad. And I said, hey, it's me. It's the same person. Oh, okay. I said, but you know what? I'd love to come by again and check it out. And then from that point on, she, continuously contacted me, and I came by a third time and secured some additional items. So this ad helped me out in that instance as well at that estate. And basically I had my private pick of the estate, which is great. That's the great thing about this, because with estate sales, you're in there competing with other resellers and just other people who are randomly popping by and taking things of value that you just can't get to because you can't be everywhere at once. So this is a way to actually try to set up like a private pick and try it out and let me know if it works for you down low in the comment section. Or if you're going to try it out, let me know that, because it really, really could do a great job for you. Now, my wife had told me that she thought that I was going to take this ad down within weeks because didn't think it was going to work out, but it has really, really worked wonders. So really, again, encourage you to try it out. Lastly, one of the things that I've also done really well with are Funko Pops. So Funko Pops are these small vinyl action figure-like toys that are stored in these rectangular cubicles. They're like small cardboard boxes with like a plastic film around the outside of it, like a plastic window. And they're very collectible, very hot, and you could stack them one on top of one another. So basically what I did is I took the picture of the largest collection of Funko Pops I could find. I cut it out. I made a nice like rectangular picture like this, and then I just created this image here, paying for your pop collection. I found the word pop collection, superimposed it on top, and then just customized this to kind of match the font and PowerPoint in terms of the colors and everything. So again, just another flashy ad that kind of pops up, and as you can see here, it says, has your Funko Pop collection gotten out of control, or have you outgrown it? Have you run out of room to store all of them and just need the space? Would you rather have the cash in hand that you could use for more important needs in your life? If so, please contact me if you're interested in selling your Funko Pop collection. So right off the bat, I'm hitting the reader with the main reasons why they are not going to want those Funko Pops anymore, because that's what happens. They buy a few, then it starts to get addicting. There's too many. They take up too much space. They don't want them to get damaged, and they just want to get rid of them and sell them. So I then take them, I buy them in bulk. I try to get them for about $2 a piece, and then I sell them out, and tend to buy these in really large collections and make really good money off of them by doing that. But you have to buy them in terms of like a large lot to do that, and this is the way you could acquire them. I've gotten a few of these large Funko Pop purchases just through this specific ad. The people who generally are posting that they have Funko Pops for sale are the resellers who are trying to make a lot of money themselves off of it on Craigslist. So I said here I will purchase smaller lots and lots of 100 or more. Again, you see I say please send some pictures of the collection so that a price can be agreed upon. A list of the pops you have are preferred but not required. The pops must be unopened, new, and mint in the box. No crushed, significantly stained, or ripped boxes will be purchased, although I do let them know I will accept some minor areas of damage. And that's important. You want to, again, avoid people trying to sell you defective, broken stuff. So just clear that out right at the outset so those people, or so you minimize the chances that those people are going to contact you. If you have other new in the box action figures, vehicles, or toys, I may be interested in those as well, such as comic book characters, Thundercats, Masters of the Universe, Star Wars. No Dorbs accepted, which is a type of Funko Pop-like item that doesn't really sell well. Again, serving the Syracuse area and surrounding areas will travel to you for reliable, easy, and friendly transactions. Please note that this is an offer for people who want to move on from their collection and are not looking to sell them for retail value. Retail value cannot be provided for collections as they are being purchased for dealership inventory purposes. So just be right out front at the beginning, so the person who contacts you, when you do get a contact, you have a much increased likelihood that that person is going to be a person who you'll have some leverage on when trying to make the deal, because they're trying to get rid of it. So anyway, I hope seeing those ads have been helpful. I put this information up on the Craigslist ads because now I actually had intended to do this for a few weeks. I hadn't not gotten around to it yet because I did see in one of the other Facebook groups that I follow, or YouTube channel that I follow, that there was a question on how people source stuff in the wintertime. That was on the Rockstar Flippers channel. He was curious about that, and so I had thought about putting this together, but earlier this evening I saw a message from one of my YouTube followers or subscribers, Laura Cohn. She's one of the earliest actual subscribers, so thank you very much, Laura, for following. I really appreciate it. She wanted to see what type of information I put up in my Craigslist ad, so I promised her that I would try to put this video together, and I hope it's helpful for you, Laura. If not, if you have a question, please feel free to drop it below, or post a question on it at the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, which is where Laura originally asked me to make this video. And if you're not a member of the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, you are missing out and you need to join. So make sure that you click the link to it down below in the description section, and then just hit the join request on Facebook. I'll take a look at it. If your profile looks normal, looks fine, looks like there's no problems with it, you will be welcome on board and to join our group. And it's a great group of friendly people who are just having a great time talking about reselling and asking questions, supporting each other. It's also a place where you could also promote your brand in a non-spammy way. So I hope you'll consider coming by and checking out the group. You could also just search for it under the term Facebook. Actually, you don't even have to write Facebook, but on Facebook, just write Reselling Resource Center. So Other things to do, put onto the to-do list, which would be make sure you click the like button down below or smash it for me, whichever you prefer. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel. I need to get those subscription numbers up. They are staying pretty static, and I need to get them up. So please help me out with that. If you like these videos and you're not clicking subscribe, that would really mean a lot to me if you would just click subscribe for me, because you will get notifications when new videos come out. And it's also just an indication, a metric that I like to use to tell whether or not people like the videos and they're enjoying them. You, of course, could click the like button, but if you click subscribe, that's a stronger area of commitment and of interest from the way I look at it. So that's about it, and I will look forward to doing some other videos this week, and I hope you come back and check it out and let other people know about this channel. That's the only way it's going to grow, is by word of mouth and people saying, hey, come check out this channel. There's some interesting stuff on here. By now there's over 40 videos, so please check out some of the other ones and let me know what you think. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great